Stream. We are here, I think. Okay, I think my mic works, and now we just wait. Or we don't. Let's just join Arsenal. Let's just fucking do this. See if this shit finally works. Now we'll be able to talk about whatever the hell I want. Soon enough. Just testing everything out, seeing if everything works. Been streaming for 40 seconds. Seeing if everything Let's see if anyone chats in the chat. Let's see who we got here. We got the first viewer. Welcome to the stream. Okay, you can join if you want. By the way, that's the great thing about Roblox is that you'll be watching me play and then you go on. Brett. My skills are pretty good in this game, so let's see how I do and see if I get those. Oh gosh, lag already. Who knows if I upgrade my internet, which I hope I do, by the way. Or at least I'm able to. Hopefully the lag spikes won't be anywhere near as bad. Or who knows. Gotcha. Let's see what we got here. Another plate. Boom. Dang, I didn't know that shotguns had rocket jumping. And the player got me. Got me. See what we got here. Let's go to the hillside. Frick it. The new apocalypse, huh? Let's see. Now today, for real this time, I'm actually gonna rant about the current state of gaming, and specifically with PlayStation. I'll talk about Xbox maybe, but I don't play games on Xbox, so although I do know most of the reasons why they're just failing right now and getting barely any support because they just kind of blow absolute like nothing. They just kind of horse water right now. They're doing pretty bad. Honestly, I don't think Xbox should sell a new console unless they actually have games that are going to be on it. I know that sounds really selfish of me, but really not. Half the reason people buy consoles is, of course, the exclusives, and the other half is just to play games on. Let's be real. For many, the console is always their way to play crap relaxingly. With a PC, you can't really do that. You need a desk setup for a PC. But I'm really here to talk about the current state of PlayStation because they aren't doing too hot either. Technically, in the money and the monetary value, Sony is doing alright. The PS5 sold way less than the PS4 did, but that's mostly due to the fact that PS4 was actually cheap and PS5 isn't. PS5, I believe the prices are still going brand new. It's like $400. I mean, $500, I believe. What's funny too is that they aren't even selling the regular PS5 anymore, the OG one. They're only selling the PS5 Slim. This is kind of a dumb business move, I guess, but this leaves you with a bunch of consoles that they still haven't sold that are the really large ones, by the way. I have a PS5 right now. In fact, it's what I'm using to stream. In fact, that's how large it really is. And honestly, I don't find the space that big of a deal breaker, but I feel like for most people, It is like an absolute deal breaker, but the problem is that the Slim ain't even that slim. In fact, it's only 30% smaller, which 30% in the grand scheme of things isn't really anything. PS2 Slim was way slimmer than PS2, OG model. OG model PS2 was actually pretty big compared to the Slim model PS2. And they were able to cram that basically sort of current gen hardware back in like 2004 to such a small space too. And they had way better graphics than the PS1 did, so it's just crazy to me how that's really now a thing that's even possible. But Sony really, I feel like, didn't even try with the Slim on PS5. And they always say that like every 3 years a Slim console comes out, which is true. And I think that's why Sony even did one this generation as well. But you can tell the only reason they made the Slim was just to make the manufacturing process a little less bad, a little less costly too. And the Slim, besides it having 1 terabyte of space, there's really like no benefits to getting it. And especially since there's a bunch of now used ones that you could probably get now, used standard editions. Just be careful for consoles that already got console banned for whatever reason, because console banning is possible now, and it's been since I believe the Xbox 360 days, which is just crazy to me. That manufacturers can just do that, Make e-ways to basically every console. Sony and Microsoft are both guilty of breaking consoles. They break their TOS in any way, which is crazy to me. Absolutely bonkers. Not that I break TOS or anything, but like at all. That's why I feel like more and more people are just not even doing the same things they did on Xbox 360 and PS3 because they're just afraid of breaking their consoles. And that's why I think the voice chat itself, especially party chat with randoms, has basically been dead for a while. I don't think anyone really does that anymore. And I've played Fortnite matches, I'm pretty sure, but they just tell you to turn your mic off or, maybe invite, like, talking to party or something, or if you're in party chat or something. And, the magic is basically gone, and with all the TOS and stuff, it just makes it overall a lot scarier, especially if you don't have the money to buy another console, or it's just bad for the environment too, because it's basically breaking a system that could have otherwise been used for a lot of gaming, a lot of hours of gaming. And I mean, if we're being real, most of these game consoles nowadays need to be connected to the internet 24/7 anyway. Just borderline crazy, because I mean, see, back then consoles, I understand why it's not possible anymore. Games loaded off the disc back then. Possible anymore is because disk drive file sizes can only be so compressed on disk, and you can only do so much. I mean, your typical Blu-ray only holds 25 gigs, which is nothing. When you look at the games coming out too, like Black Ops 6 right now, which is just kind of a big joke. Call of Duty has just been on this joke streak right now. They just have not been pumping out great FPS games that are COD. COD's just kind of garbage anyway. Like, Modern Warfare 2 was the last one I played, right? And it was already kind of a disaster. Modern Warfare 2, yeah. Modern Warfare 2 is just kind of a disaster anyway. It's kind of a piece of dog water, but I mean, well, it could be. And the fact it's coming out on PS4 too is just crazy, but I'm just talking about. What's funny about the Slim too is that it actually costs more than the OG model, and it doesn't really make sense because it's practically, at the end of the day, the same hardware as the PS5. It's not more powerful, and it has a detachable disc drive, and I feel like some of it is more downgraded. Like, it's got even more glossy plastic on it for some reason. It can scratch up. the vertical stand doesn't even come with a console, which is crazy. There's only a horizontal stand, which is legitimately the saddest excuse for a stand too. It's two plastic triangles that hold it. It's legit just two plastic clear triangles that hold the system, which is just absolutely bonkers to me. The OG PS5 came with a not amazing, but still a pretty good stand. I don't really trust it that much, but it does the job, and it goes both ways. It's actually such a cost-saving design, but it's still a really good design compared to PS5 Slim does not coming with a vertical stand or even one that does it both ways. So it's just embarrassing to me how that's just to top that off. The vertical stand for the PS5 Slim is $30, which is just wow, Sony. I know I love Sony a lot, and I've always preferred PlayStation to Xbox. Probably always will, by the way. And you know, besides the fact that there's no exclusives on Xbox, and the fact, honestly, I still feel the Xbox players paying and not really having anything to defend the consoles by, because it really is kind of nothing to defend the consoles by anymore, because they're all kind of doing dumb business decisions and like. At the end of the day, game consoles will and always were about the money. Making platforms, making discs, making games in general has always been about the money. But I feel like now, more than ever, that's the creativity just been sucked out of everything. And I feel like Sony is just too scared to pump out a new game every month, or like new PS5 exclusives. At least get new brand deals and don't buy a bunch of companies either. Because the thing is, Microsoft buys so many studios. Their issue is sort of the same too, where they get these people to develop like they always gotta develop like the next gen game, which most of the time ain't possible unless you wait like 5 years or more, and the more time you spend like developing these games, the less time you're gonna actually have people playing games that are new. Because I think more than ever, more people are playing games that are really old. I mean, even Roblox, which I'm playing right now, like sure the game got updated like a lot. And it's basically nothing like it was in its original inception, which was PC only and with like way worse physics and way worse graphics even. The stuff you can do in the Roblox engine now is super impressive by especially back then standards, like 2008 or even 11, even as late as 2011. Games weren't as advanced as, let's say, this one, Arsenal. Which, by the way, is a really good game, and I love this game. It's so fun. And I still enjoy it more than COD, even though it's kind of the same game. Actually, it's more similar to CSGO, if anything. And it just kind of boggles my mind that like AAA games don't really mean anything anymore, because half the time like you wait so long for them to come out, and at first they're good, but half the time you get devs who don't pour their time into it, or something wrong's really happening in the game devs right now. And I know they get underpaid, and I know a lot of the other crap happens, and I know game development is hard, and I legit tried coding in class before, and it's not easy. And I know I was just like probably testing out what like imagine what making a game is like, because you gotta record audio, you gotta have game engines, you gotta have a bunch of code for a game, and that is something that most complex form of entertainment you could ever imagine, like legitimately just being small and not. And I guess Minecraft's a pretty bad example, because I get super like sandboxy, and something that I think most people will realize that, oh, that's like a really hard game to imagine. But the fact Mojang was able to make Minecraft 12, 20 people maybe in total, maybe like 30 at the highest, I think games like Minecraft or even crap like, I don't know, I know it's a bad example, but I guess Among Us. I mean, let's be real, only that game got famous because of the pandemic, and just people were bored and stuff, and it was free on the App Store, but it was pretty big for a while, and everyone played it. I knew a lot of people who played Among Us. As stupid as that is, you know. This game is just kind of dated by now, and no one plays it anymore, but I mean, sometimes more devs need to realize that you can use the power of a console, like the PS5, for example, but you know, just use its unique features. You don't always have to have cutting edge graphics, because I know having cutting edge graphics takes so much time to develop. Just for what, your game to look pretty? I mean, if your game looks pretty, that's cool, but you also need gameplay to back up the coats of paint, the spray paint or whatnot. Your job as art direction honestly is really important too, because if you make a game that's like generic as crap, no one's gonna remember it. No one's gonna find it memorable. The reason why I think Roblox was so memorable as it was because of its like sound effects that were stolen, and a bunch of other stuff. Like, you know, the graphic style of the game too was so memorable. Like, even this game has remnants of the R6 Avatar art style, which is, you know, blocky. Roblox is really trying to get away from that, which is just. I mean, you see why, because I think it's good for investors, because they definitely love that, but especially players like me, I don't. It really takes all the soul out of Roblox and it just sucks it out, and it really does. It really, really does. So now Roblox won't be known as what it once was. Now it'll be known for, you know, just having ultra realistic graphics. And you know, as I said, the Roblox engine's pretty good, but I mean, they added shadows in this game for the first time, which is crazy. Like, only a while ago was this finally added, but they added legit shadows into this game, to Arsenal, which is really cool. But, man, Roblox really will have no soul in a couple of years, maybe like 10 years down the road even, everything will be gone. And I think Sony really does need a studio like Japan Studio again. Too bad they shut it down. Oh, that sucks. Astrobot, I saw the game awards, I think. I don't even remember, Summer Game Fest or wherever it was. Basically E3 at this point, because E3 died. E3 is sad. I always wanted to go to E3, but then the pandemic happened, so E3 actually just kind of left. Everyone just forgot it existed, and now Sony and Nintendo, even Microsoft at this point, is trying to make their own Nintendo Direct equivalents, which is just not panning out at all. As we all know, State of Play is kind of a joke, and Xbox is. I didn't even see it. I heard a bunch of good stuff though, like how, you know, the new Doom game actually looks pretty fire. Too bad it's probably not coming out this year at all. It was probably like 2025 or 6 at the earliest, which is just, you know, it's just the current state of gaming as of today. Games always gotten harder and harder to develop, but PS5 has just had this hole in its library, and that is just not being able to, well, PS4, when it was like 3 years old, we had Ratchet and Clank, which, sure, was kind of a crap reboot, but it was still something, and it was, let's be real, even if Ratchet and Clank is really forgettable, and I'm just saying that really likely because the Ratchet and Clank reboot is nowhere near as good as PS2 original, and I really am saying this, but at least there was a game to play and it was exclusive to that hardware. It wasn't on PS3, and it came out in 2016, which I think is when the PS4 actually started to get pretty good. I think 2014 we had like Knack and stuff, and Little Big Planet 3 and stuff like that. But Little Big Planet 3 was a huge departure from 2 and 1, and it was just buggy at launch and a bunch of other bullcrap because it was developed by a different studio, I think. So Little Big Planet 3 just wasn't as good or as memorable or really any of that as 2 was. But it's not even just that. There was like Knack, which was just Knack. It's funny how they made a sequel of it like 6, 7 years later. It's kind of funny. I know a bunch of people meme on Knack. Specifically, I guess I'm talking about Donkey at this point because Donkey really does meme on Knack a lot. Because it's kind of funny how this is a Sony exclusive franchise and showing the power of the PS4 and such and such. It's pretty funny. And I'm just saying that right now, but all these games have pretty good graphics. Ratchet and Clank has pretty good graphics, but it just lacks the soul of the original. Man, it's just kind of a movie tie-in type of deal too, because of the crappy Ratchet and Clank movie that came out. I think Sony just made a deal. No Mario movie Ratchet and Clank wasn't at all in the slightest, and it's just so. And I'm saying this as someone who didn't really like the Mario movie that much. I don't really like video game movies like that. I didn't like the Sonic movie because it was live action. Let's be real. I would have much preferred it be CGI animated, at least even. With, like all the characters and stuff, because I don't really care about the humans at all. Like I didn't care about the police officer that much. I mean, if I'm being real, he's better than one of the other human companions. He's way better than Chris Thorndike from Sonic X. He's just the worst. But I'm getting off track here, but as I was saying, more studios need to realize they don't need to make the next cutting edge thing really all the time, and because it really is kind of wasting this generation's time too. Because apparently we're already halfway through the PS5 cycle, and there's only like 12 real exclusive games. Some of them got ported to PC, which is just a nail in the coffin, and even sadder. Because back then, owning a console meant you at least had, exclusive things that PC gamers wouldn't have. And I know this would all be relegated, absolutely eliminated once emulation came. Believe me, emulation is something that is also very important to the industry because even actual devs are, selling emulation packs basically of their franchises, like Mega Man and Contra and all that other stuff. So, emulation is important, but I think what makes everything even worse is all the remakes and remasters coming out. There's so many coming out, like 24/7. I think most people say remakes are good because it'll teach devs how to use the hardware, which is complete bullcrap in my opinion. Nah. Back then, and especially during the 7th generation of consoles, and even the 8th, sort of the 8th, not really, people made new games for the systems. And I know Ratchet and Clank was a remake and it came out the 8th generation, but that was when the remake actually started getting pretty big. And everyone was doing it. And it became a trend that still happens to this day where devs will just remaster games. And remastering a game or remaking them isn't really terrible in the grand scheme of things. I mean, making a game available again with a new coat of paint and quality of life enhancements and whatnot is great and all. But you know what's even better? Making a completely new game. And I know it sucks way more resources, and I know it costs generally way more money than most devs are willing to spend. But so do remakes and remasters. Like, they also cost a crap ton of money, so it's just kind of like, what? And, some companies began to just make remasters of games, like I guess Vicarious Visions is a pretty good example of the dev studio that Activision owns. They remade the Spyro trilogy and the Crash trilogy. Oh, in the wrong order, but you know, they remastered the Crash games, and those games are incredibly popular. Remasters were super good. They had way better graphics. They had kind of shoddy physics, but I mean, other than that, they were basically one-to-one with some quality of life features, of course, to make the game slightly easier. Spyro kind of did the same thing, except the game, let's be real, Spyro was always kind of easy. Unless you were like 100%ing, then it's just kind of tough as nails sometimes. But you know, Spyro is Spyro, and the Crash Team Racing Remaster, believe it or not, was the only way I played the game, and I loved it. It's so much better than Mario Kart, and I know a lot of people are going to be spouting in the comments, no it's not, no it's not, but it's true. I mean, let's be real, Crash Team Racing has a more interesting character selection than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has kind of the worst selection. At least it wasn't until the, what's it called, the Track Wave packs that came out. Before that, Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's character selection screen was probably the most boring thing possible. It was full of reskins. It was full of legit nothing. There's like 3 Mario characters in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or like 4. There's Mario, there's Gold Mario, there's Metal Mario, and there's the Tanuki Mario. It's just so dumb. Same with Peach too. Peach got like Cat Peach and regular Peach, and then we got reskins of characters. I think Nintendo's just kind of running out of Mario characters to use. And what's crazy too, they could use like EGAT and stuff, but they just don't. But Nintendo's problem is completely different. They're doing pretty good if we're being real. They're still making good games like Mario Wonder, which is like the first 2D Mario in years, by the way. I think the last one was Mario Bros. U, which was just kind of a generic game, like most of the new Super Mario Bros. Games were. And yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah. Yeah, as I was saying though, PS5, in order for it to compete, I feel like it really did need more games. You know something else that came out in 2016 that was a masterpiece and everyone loved and was exclusive to PS4? Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 was amazing, and I think most people didn't see it as anything cool, and then they actually played the game. Oh boy, Uncharted 4 is a masterpiece, and you know the fact that Sony put all this money on Naughty Dog anyway is just. I mean, I'm glad they bought the studio and they're using them, but let's be real, all Naughty Dog's doing right now is remasters, and I guess they did make. Did they make The Last of Us? I'm pretty sure they did. And they made that The Last of Us 2, which just got made fun of. I don't even know why, though. Just did. I saw so many memes about Last of Us 2 just being kind of a cringe fest or something, but peep Last of Us Part 2. I have no idea why, but they just weren't. They're good. They really were expecting that game to be super good, I'm pretty sure. Because, I mean, Last of Us Part 1 was pretty good as well, and that game was generally what people wanted back in 2013 when it came out on PS3. But what I hate a lot about Sony is that they keep remastering games that don't need remasters. Last of Us doesn't really need a remaster, and there's only so many times you can. Whoa, I got clipped through the map. But there's only so many times you can remaster a game. Like, they already remastered it like 3 times. They ported it to PS4. Alright, cool. They ported it to PS5, and it came out on the freaking PS3. So again, not really an old game. I mean, it is. It's like 10 years old, but at the same time, it's like what about the games that actually do deserve remasters that are like exclusive to your platform or were like Ape Escape or something? You know, maybe make a new Ape Escape. Actually, don't, because I don't even know what you could do with a franchise at this point. But what I'm saying is like, I don't know. I guess Loco Roco 4 would be kind of cool. Or 3, I don't even know which one we're on. But yeah, it would be stupid, and I doubt anyone would like any hardcore gamers would want it. But it's just gonna be like a fun distraction. You better. And since it's going to be a console game too, they really wanted to make this Loco Roco 4 for some dumb reason.
Hey, you got him.
What they could do is like, add way more content than the old ones and old Loco Rocos and maybe some new ones and all that other crap and maybe Papon 4. I'm not so sure, but just use. A franchise that actually hasn't got featured, entries that actually does need new entries, like bad. This franchise hasn't had a game in the past. Came out in 2002, so I think 22 years. I think at this point, and that one is, of course, the one you already know, the one that had game on the PS1 and the PS2 game though, or 4, except the remaster on 4 and PSP, and that is Parappa the Rapper. Parappa the Rapper 3 to the console that you could sell, but Parappa the Rapper was really the one that put rhythm games on the map, if we're being real. And, it's sad just not being able to see him for the past, as I said, 22 years, because Parappa the Rapper 2 came out 22 years ago, and sure, let's be real, the games didn't have that much content or whatnot. You could fix that with PS5, and especially since no one really cares about the file sizes anymore, even though they're kind of, absolute bullcrap. This will allow you to make more stages, and you don't really even need cutting-edge graphics either, because, well, I mean, the assets you're using like flat paper cut characters, so it's not really a graphics hog, and you don't really need that much development time for it either. I think the only real hard part is making the songs, which, in Parappa the Rapper fashion, I guess would be kind of hard to like make songs that hit as much as the ones from Parappa 1 and 2, but I mean, it certainly is possible. It would probably take a whole lot less time than them trying to develop that Wolverine game with Insomniac or all the other crap Sony's trying to do, which is just not going anywhere right now. And Insomniac actually used to be a studio with creativity, especially during the PS1 and PS2 days. I think PS3 is when they sort of slowed down. Actually, never mind. They had Resistance on PS3. That franchise was amazing, and they kind of just abandoned it, I guess. But I mean, Insomniac legit just abandons franchises after 3 games. I mean, they did with Spyro, they did with Ratchet and Clank. Although I think Ratchet and Clank, they stuck with them for a while. I guess same with Naughty Dog, but Naughty Dog had their Jak and Daxter series. Actually, I don't know who developed Sly Cooper, but I think people really do want a new one. As I said, just don't make it a shoddy reboot like Ratchet and Clank, or make a reboot, but don't make it like legit, just kind of dark crap. Like the Ratchet reboot, which is just so generic and so tacked on that it just doesn't feel like Ratchet and Clank anymore. The originals that actually, weren't friends until the end of the game and actually learned how to, be friends and be together and stuff. But, as long as Sony actually treats their franchises like well, I think that would be a recipe for success. Maybe a new Jak and Daxter, I'm not so sure, but yeah, just make good games again, and like don't even try. Like you can reboot them, but just don't make shoddy reboots that kind of taint the reputations of the originals or make them seem worse than the originals. Like I'm saying, try to make something better than the originals because you obviously can't really do that. But make games that fit the quota and make us satisfied. Because gamers right now, I think, are the least satisfied they've ever been. And I know a bunch of people who say like the graphics suck on a lot of console generations. So just kind of like just do PC gaming stuff. But as great as PC gaming is, and there's some really great open source games. There's some really games exclusively on PC. There's a bunch of other cool crap, but realistically now, consoles only went for convenience because no one. Let's be real, PC gaming is only hard because it's just hard creating a build that will actually last a pretty long time and one that will actually, play the games you want. And PC gaming, it ain't looking so hot either. There's so many games right now that were poorly ported to PC. And it's just crazy to me how many of them are really starting to appear. It's just so depressing, but I don't know, man. Like, just keep your PC ports in the oven, especially if you're gonna launch all the platforms at the same time. It's gonna be super hard to do. I feel like having multiple dev teams support games would be easier, but I'm not so sure. I'm not a game developer, and it's just really tough out there. A lot of people, but I think there is a glimmer of hope, and gaming really does need a hero. I think the hero really will be coming soon enough, hopefully. 2025 is a year away, but I already feel, I'm already wanting to feel the feeling of sliding the card out of my wallet and, grabbing that copy of a new game in the franchise that hasn't gotten a game in like 10 years. It didn't even get one during the PS4 and Xbox One gen, which is crazy to me. I don't know why they didn't even bother, but that took advantage of the PS4 and Xbox One hardware, but, here we are. GTA 6. GTA 6 will probably bring up the sales of PS5 far. Especially, it will bring... GTA 6 will bring the sales of PS5 really hard. Because now people will actually have an excuse to play this. And I doubt they're making it on old gen hardware. Because they literally skipped this gen. They skipped on... They skipped PS4 and Xbox One. They really skipped them hard. Like, they didn't even bother making maybe like a pro exclusive game either. Just boggles my mind. And I mean, it would have probably taken like 3 hours to load, but at least it would have been a new GTA game on the newer hardware at the time, which was... Because remember, GTA 5, 6... I mean, GTA 5 on PS3 came out in 360. And it came out on those systems first. Really weak hardware, and I know PS4 is really weak too. Base Xbox One is also really weak. In fact, it's weaker than PS4. But the thing is, the real big thing is that Rockstar just decided to legit just skip the entire generation, which is just, mind-blowing to me. Because you'd think they would have made at least one... They didn't make a current-gen game, though, which was Red Dead 2, but Rockstar as a whole, I think, has been slowing down a lot lately. And they also need some sequels of their franchises, maybe a new Midnight Club, maybe Midnight Club 5. Because, let's be real, racing games also need a hero as well. GTA 6 definitely, I think, will save the 9th gen, hopefully. But it probably... I feel like GTA 6 is probably coming a little too late, though. Because as Sony already said, we're already halfway through the generation. Well, they legit said that themselves, which is just kind of bonkers to me, because halfway through PS4, we had the Crash remakes exclusive for a while. We had Uncharted 4, we had Rushing Clank. We even had the crappy Knack games, but we also had the God of War reboot, which was really good. Sure, you couldn't jump in it, or it wasn't really beat 'em up. It wasn't really anything like the old God of Wars, but it was just such a breath of fresh air. We had, I guess, the Horizon games, which are a pretty mixed bag. I never tried them out personally, but I think we had the PSVR exclusive Astro Bot games, which were alright. I didn't play PSVR much, if at all, if I'm being completely legit with myself. And I got to try out PSVR, but it just kind of gave me headaches. Apparently, PSVR 2 fixes the headache problem, though, which is pretty cool. Because now you won't get headaches from VR anymore. But I tried PSVR, and it's really impressive for the thing that powers the entire headset, which is, of course, the PS4 itself, how it can even handle VR content. Which is, like, sure, it's low resolution, which is to be expected because, I mean, VR content is already incredibly hard to run on PCs anyway, but the fact it's running on, a $200 console, especially at the time that I got the PS4, which is around 2019. By the way, it's a really good price tag, by the way. Just letting y'all know that PS4 sold because it finally became cheap, and it was really good for being that cheap, and it was a really good value at that point because now you can just spend the rest of your money on games. And sure, it was a base PS4, not PS4 Pro, but I mean, PS4 Pro is just honestly another can of worms. I don't really like talking about it, but PS4 Pro is just kind of. I just hope they don't make a PS5 Pro because legitimately, I don't think anyone's going to buy it, and I don't. Personally, I wouldn't because I just don't see a point in pro consoles, especially when you realize that, at that point, if you're going to buy a pro console, why not just buy a computer? Why not just buy a PC? Because with a PC, you don't really need a pro revision. Because you could already make the PC as powerful as you want, or as big as you want, or whatnot. And you could upgrade it throughout the years, too. So it's not really an issue at all for PC gamers because it's so easy to upgrade, but console people have to buy a separate system that probably costs a little more than even their original system that they paid for. Just to have slightly better graphics and slightly better resolution and slightly better performance. I don't think it's worth it in my eyes, like at all. This doesn't even get to the problem with false advertising from the 9th Gen 2. Both Series X and PS5 said they were originally going to be able to output 4K resolution, which is just a flat-out lie. I think they could output 8K. Yeah, 4K they can output, but 8K is something that is just not happening. It's not even on the options menu either. 8K content just isn't even there yet either, not even for movies yet, so 8K TVs aren't even there either. So there's just no 8K content right now, so I know they wanted to put 8K on there to like future-proof, but 8K being on the box is just such a false advertising move. And Microsoft did this too, and it's so funny because you already know both consoles could probably output 8K. They just can't, play games at 8K, or if they could, they would probably have to make the graphics way, way worse. And in order for them to perform at least maybe 60 frames, not even 120 by the way, because 120 FPS is also shown on both consoles boxes, I'm pretty sure. Because, well, it is kind of a cutting-edge feature for consoles to finally get high FPS. Because PC gamers have had it since, I think, the dawn of time at this point, because even PC monitors from back in the day were like 75 hertz. And so, PCs always did have higher FPS and higher, refresh rates and stuff, because, I mean, I think I know many people's TVs that have 4K, but they probably don't even have 120 hertz. And I know a bunch of people who have a bunch of crap, but let's be real. Most games that you probably run on high FPS on PS5 probably don't even run at full 4K resolution because, I mean, most PCs can't even do it. Like, most builds people have, like, let's say a 3060 card, probably can't even really do it. You could probably do, like, 1080p, 120, or even more FPS with that card, but you can't do 4K 120 at all. That was just unexpected and kind of, like, legit false advertising too. Most of these consoles were. And fun fact about most of these systems, but like even if Like PS3 barely had games that ran at full 1080p. Most of its library ran at 720p or even 480p. Believe it or not, and it was the first gen with HD. So take that as you will. PS4 and Xbox One had a pretty bad issue with this too because at the at the at the best you could expect a game to run at 900p. You know, which isn't terrible, but it's not 1080p, so it's not full HD. And some games, believe it or not, I think ran lower than even that. So it's just kind of embarrassing that these consoles just continue to, they try to innovate in the industry, but they can't keep up with PC specs. And PCs will always be more expensive, I'm pretty sure, but I mean, let's be real, if they put more powerful hardware in consoles, they're just end up getting more expensive, which is an issue that's already happening in the 9th gen, which is hardware is just these game consoles are kind of just terrible deals at this point. I mean, both of them are backwards compatible with their old gen games. It's pretty good, really good business decision, by the way, because it actually keeps people wanting to buy the hardware. Because I mean, who's gonna want to buy new hardware and yet there's no games for it yet? And I actually kind of wasn't really expecting the PS5 to be backwards compatible with PS4 games at first until they finally actually acknowledged that it was way easier to put PS4 games on PS5 because they both use x86, not like PS3 where I could go through emulation, through PowerPC and stuff, through the cell processor that was just incredibly hard to code for. But I mean, I've heard this everywhere, but I think the AMD GPU in the PS5 is actually, look, it's not that strong, but it's way stronger than the Switch. And, I know the Series X technically has better colors and a better HDMI port and whatnot. Like, I know that. I've seen the HDR side by side for the PS5 and Series X, but I mean, Xbox may be more powerful this generation, but it's a pretty big but, is that just both these consoles, though, have nearly the same exact amount of power, which is just,
take care of this quickly.
as powerful as a 2080 card, I believe, 2080 Super, which a bunch of people really thought was cool, but the 2080 is old now, and sure, it can do ray tracing. That's how PS5 was even able to do ray tracing to begin with. But the 2080 card really isn't that groundbreaking tech anymore. And developers have been developing for that type of hardware since on PC since like 2015 or 18 or whenever the 20 cards came out or the 20 series came out. And it goes without saying that having only hardware as powerful as a 2080, like, honestly, I don't know what the CPU equivalent for the PS5 is, or even the Series X, but I'm pretty sure it might just be a Core i7 equivalent specs, or probably even i5, even, which is really not impressive at all. And it just goes without saying that, I've always known consoles were weaker than PC, and they probably always will be, for obvious reasons, because, I mean, PCs cost way more, and that much is the obvious, and I understand that. But consoles are also getting more expensive, which is just kind of crazy to think about. So, how much more can these businesses get out of your wallet? It's just, especially when you don't even got games to release, or they take really long to come out. And I know Astrobot is, coming out, and that game's probably going to be pretty good, but so just Astro World, the pack and title for the PS5 again. but with I guess new features and stuff, because we need that. But at the same time, the industry is just so lost at this point, and what it really needs is just more creative games again. You know, have smaller games too to release. And Nintendo, to be fair, is actually eating pretty good. I mean, they released a Kirby game not so long ago. The first 3D Kirby game in the franchise. It took them legitimately 30 years because Kirby's. Cause, I think they could have done 3D Kirby on the N64 with Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, but they just didn't bother to make it 3D. They just made it 2.5D with 3D models. Which, I mean, I guess that's fine. I guess if it was a 3D Kirby game, it wouldn't have been seen as poorly aged or really any of that. Same with the GameCube. GameCube didn't even get a real Kirby game, only a spin-off called Air Ride. Which, by the way, is really good, I guess, but, it uses one button, so I wouldn't know. I never played Air Ride, ever. I honestly don't want to try because I've heard about one button thing. It's just kind of like, what? And it's what Sakurai kind of wanted for Kirby anyway, was being like, if you play with one button. But yeah, Kirby in the Forgotten Land's pretty good. They had Metroid Dread, which was people thought was canceled, and great if Nintendo would actually make a game that people thought for the longest time was never going to happen. And Mario Wonder is incredible. It's a new 2D game on Nintendo Switch, and it's been a long time since we had a new 2D Mario. I believe like 12 years. I'm not even so sure, but there was finally a new 2D Mario, and I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out. It's so creative, has new features, has new power-ups, I think. It's got a bunch of cool crap, and I'm so glad that there's a new 2D Mario. I guess a new Zelda's coming out, but that was like this year's Direct. Metroid Prime 4 finally got showcased, and I guess it is coming out of the Switch. But hey, Nintendo's always been with weak hardware since the Game Boy days. Because Nintendo's consoles used to actually be pretty big powerhouses. Specifically the N64 and the GameCube were both really powerful. Well, not really. I think the GameCube was less powerful than the Xbox, but it was still more powerful than the PS2. It's just that both suffered from having crappy formats. GameCube just had a really crappy mini DVD format, and N64 had cartridges with barely any storage on them. People love trying to port their PS1 games to N64, but it was such a challenge to do so. N64 is already a system that I just see as a failure in my eyes, because, I mean, let's be real, every console after the NES, it seemed like Nintendo was failing until they made the Wii. Well, we sold like hotcakes because the casuals loved it, so they needed to make it. So that's what really brought them back on foot. The Wii U failed, even old games on Nintendo Switch that came out like during its launch here in window, like Mario. No, Mario didn't come out first, but Breath of the Wild. It's surprising how that game is honestly seen more as a Switch game than a Wii U game, because Zelda Wii U, as it was known for a very long time, because it wouldn't come out until 2017. It was called Zelda Wii U for so long, and Breath of the Wild finally came out on the screen. It was confirmed to be a launch title for the Switch. And I guess a send-off to the Wii U, because the Wii U was kind of crappy anyway. Wii U was such a sad generation, and apparently people are already nostalgic for it, but that was part of the Wii U generation. Sure, there was way better things. Sure, so I actually put music in their menus and all that other stuff, which was great. But and and let's be real, even though the Wii U failed, it was full of personality. The Switch kind of took that all away though, but it's because of hardware limitations. I'm pretty sure because I think the GUI itself only
You've
takes
got
1
it
gig
there.
of RAM. Everything else is used for other things, like for the games themselves and stuff. Pretty sure. I don't know why Nintendo didn't put 8 gigs of RAM in the Switch. They only put 4, which is just abysmal. Like legit no RAM for devs even. Like more dev. In fact, there's ways, you know, actual hackers and stuff were able to
Keep up the good work, mate. You're
hack the
doing
RAM
great.
to make it actually more usable, like make the clock speed higher or whatnot. But of course, Nintendo doesn't allow that, so it's just like, wow,
Nice headshot.
great. And yeah, Nintendo just has their own set of problems. I really don't like Switch Online, like at all. When they finally made us pay online, I remember the last day when we would ever get free online. Because Nintendo Switch players had free online for like a year or two. Actually, it was like basically a year because it wouldn't come out until 2018. Because Switch Online was rumored to happen, but I didn't even think it was going to happen for real. Apparently, they delayed the Switch Online reveal, the release date for it, which is cool, but I mean, I legit didn't think Nintendo would make us pay for online, especially after like 2 solid generations of not doing that. I guess Nintendo was like, oh, since Sony and Microsoft are
Don't
making
let it
money
go.
off it, let's do it as well. Yay! Switch Online was born. Don't even get me started on the expansion pack, which I just find insane. Expansion pack is way too overpriced for what it gives you. It barely gives you anything at all. It's so depressing. For 50 bucks a year? 50 bucks a year is bonkers to me. I know it's still cheaper than
Wow, you blew his
the most
brains
expensive
out.
PS Plus
Nice.
plan. And PS Plus
Very
got revamped
impressive.
and all that other cool stuff, but I guess even did Xbox Live go in price? I think it did. Because PS4 was doing it. PS Plus was doing it. But like, making us pay for online is quite possibly the worst idea imaginable. And
Wow,
Sony
you
started
blew
with
his
it on
brains out.
PS4,
Nice.
which is just PS3 had free online, but I guess go figure. Yeah, let's make some money off of this crap. PS Plus used to actually be a subscription plan that only hardcore PlayStation fans aren't really. Just so they would have like new free games every month back on PS3. And I remember the shit because I was alive during the
You've got it.
PS3 generation. So I remember this crap, but my goodness gracious. As I was saying though, it's just kind of like you really doing this to us, Sony? Like you're such a jerk, man. And they really were kind of giant jerks for doing that crap.
Incredible.
Sweet, I
Big
won.
time.
I actually won the match. Let's go on stream too. That is great. Oh man, I've streamed for an hour. Honestly, I've had barely any views in a few streams. I don't even know. I got like 200 subs. I wonder if legit all the accounts on my channel are just
All
dead at
right.
this point.
The
It's
time's come.
depressing.
Don't let me down.
I could talk about the days of when I tried to stream, but and like make videos and stuff, and ah, oh, man, It's just kind of depressing. I mean, let's be real. It's not like I'm working the hardest thing in the world. I'm just live streaming, and I think my internet router's probably doing more work, but I'm still playing a game, and I'm surprised that, you know, it hasn't lagged out that much with as of late. Or even,
Nice headshot.
it's actually pretty nice. You know, I haven't gotten disconnected like a single time in like
Wow. You
30
blew his
minutes or
brains out.
however
Nice.
long it's been. It's pretty cool. Oh, by the way, I hope that doesn't happen.
Hey, you got him.
Hey, I'm pretty good at this game.
Hey,
Sweet.
got him.
Uh, Nintendo has been eating good. It's just that their hardware is way too weak, and I heard their next-gen
Wow.
consoles
You blew his
have
brains out. Nice.
hardware that, which is still pretty disappointing, especially from a developer side. Because I know even devs don't really like developing for PS5 because apparently it's a little too weak. People keep saying there's going to be a PS5 Pro, and I don't know. I don't want a PS5 Pro, and even then, why would anyone? Because PS4 Pro is just such a mid upgrade anyway. Like, it gave you 4K output, but it gave you checkerboard rendering, which was an upscaled 1080p. So it wasn't actual 4K being displayed either. I mean, checkerboard rendering is alright, but I mean, why have fake 4K when you can have real, like, legit 4K? And sure, PS4 Pro got HDR support, but I mean, PS4 Slim for some reason got HDR, even though it's not even a 4K console, which is kind of funny to me. Like, does the color range really even change on PS4 regular when you change it to HDR? I'm not even so sure. Point is, PS4 Pro isn't even that big an upgrade, and I don't think anyone really cared about it, especially when it came out in 2016. I think only Sony fans really saw the difference and cared. I mean, some games did perform better on PS4 Pro. I'm not even gonna lie. A lot of them, some of them did. But that's because, of course, it's probably will. I mean,
Wow. You blew his brains out. Nice.
the fact that especially that it came out sort of in 2016, which was sort of like mid the console generation, I think PS4 Pro is pretty cool. And for what it was, I mean, sure, it still had that slow spinny disc, but which that's just what I say for hard drives because they're slow. They're really slow. I don't know, man. I feel like PS4 Pro really was only for the Sony fans who really wanted 4K output. Because 4K TVs at the time PS4 Pro came out, I think were finally cheap enough to where most people could buy them now. And sure, even if you didn't have a 4K TV, the Pro is still probably the better option, mainly because of the better performance. And to many, that's still a pretty big deal, especially with like turbo mode on PS4 too, PS4 Pro as well. Like some games that didn't run so hot on the regular PS4 ran good, so we're better. Yeah, that's always a good thing. But, personally, I never really played on the Pro because my older brother had one. Gave me the Slim for Christmas of 2019, I think. As I said, this was when PS4 was cheap. Believe it or not, they're still selling PS4 Slims for $300 for some reason. I mean, they come with a game, but still, it's just kind of super embarrassing on Sony's part. Like, why even price them that high?
Wow.
You can buy these ones on FB Marketplace and many other sites because so many people had PS4s and I think are trying to get rid of them anyway. Because, you know, most people are trying to get PS5s, and people just sell their PS4s because it's easy, you know, easy cash. And I'm not even complaining either. Like, I would have done the same thing. 'Cause, you know, I see how bad PS4 was, but it really kind of wasn't. I mean, in hindsight, I always complain about PS4 not really having enough games and not enough whatnot, but
You did it.
no.
Nice work.
I think PS4 was honestly a better generation. Even if it had slower hard drives, even if it had less power, the jump. I'm just saying right now, I don't think the jump from PS3 to PS4 was really that impressive. And other than the console being able to run Red Dead 2, I don't think anyone would have really bought it. Or even some other games, like I guess Spider-Man for PS4 wouldn't have really been possible. Yo, did people actually choose this game mode? Let's go. Got some footage of it. But and the point is, the real big point is at this point. It's to hope that gaming won't just completely crash, because I know it's pretty close to that, I'm pretty sure. Because, I mean, what's even the point of having consoles anymore if they don't even have the exclusive games they once had? Or really anything at all? For most consumers, well, they'll figure out soon that consoles will ultimately be useless at this point. And the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, more and more people are just playing old bad games anyway. Because, well, those are the only games we have that we can play right now. And until GTA 6, I don't think anyone's going to buy next-gen hardware or even get anything anymore, really. So it's kind of like there, I guess. Honestly, it's kind of surprising how Nintendo is still even selling the Switch and stuff and all the other crap. It's just like, damn. It's just like, how? But, oh well. I guess until next stream, that's just my current points of views on gaming as a whole right now. I just don't. I think it's just kind of been a little crappy, don't you think? I mean, gaming used to be a legit business that would, you know, not take itself that seriously. Not because I feel like especially devs like Epic Games are running out of ideas too. Like all they can pump out is just Fortnite, which I mean, alright game, but it's old. I guess they were trying to make like an Unreal Tournament reboot, but it's probably not happening anytime soon. And that's just how the things will probably be in time. So many devs, so many studios. Just I don't know what's going on with gaming. I mean, I do know there's so many problems with it right now that really need solving. But I mean,
Fantastic.
do you really think that it really can be solved? I mean, the same thing happened in the 70s and the 80s and such, so I'm not so sure. So, until then, I hope gaming gets better because, you know, GTA 6 will come and save us, hopefully. And there's kind of a slight chance that it will turn out like a dumpster fire, and I just don't want that to happen. I think we could just pray to the gaming gods and God himself to, you know, help the gaming industry out because it's a thing that really needs help right now, and it's just kind of really tough to figure out, try to help these companies, you know, because as many have said, as gamers, we hate seeing the companies not being able to compete against each other or even have a chance at being successful. So all this dumb stuff with these console manufacturers are trying to do, they really should try to stop doing all these dumb business decisions as well, because they're not helping. So that'll be the end of the stream, by the way. I'm actually quite impressed at how many wins I was able to get, and hopefully y'all at least comment on this video and talk about gaming as a whole too, because I used to collect games as a hobby. Retro gaming kind of went down the trash too, but I guess it's a topic for a different stream or even a different video if I feel like editing again. So, goodbye, everybody. Peace.